Hi everyone, my name is Anne Ellis and I'm the Children, Youth and Family Minister at Mount Seymour United Church in North Vancouver. And I'd like to welcome you to our Children and Youth Gathering video for November 15th, 2020. As you can see, I have a collection of all of or most of the past crafts and activities that we've done over the last couple of months. I've got our Day of the Dead mask, I've got our Thanksgiving mailable hug, I've got some leaf rubbings, a seed mandala. One week we talked about generosity, and we've talked about the tree of life and roots growing down deep and branches growing up tall. And we've got our cedar tree of life, and we've got our plant, our seed of hope that is growing right here. All of these are from previous videos in our series on A Future with Hope. I hope that you've been following along, but if you haven't, you've got weeks and weeks of videos that you can watch with all of these activities and stories that go along with them. You'll want to just kind of check back through our channel for our children and youth videos, and you'll find all of these different activities that you can do. So this week, we are going to share with you one of my favorite stories from when I was a child. It's called Amanda Grows Up, and we'll get to that shortly. For our activity at the end of the video, you will need some supplies. Most of them are, well, the printouts for the activity are in the email that came to your families. So you might want to go and print those out. If you came by this video not through our weekly email to our youth and children and families, you can visit our Pinterest page and you will find the printouts there. You will also find so many crafts and activities that you can do that we've pinned, some of which we've done in videos and past gatherings, and others are yet to be done. And a link to both the newsletter sign up and the Pinterest page are in the description below, so you can visit them there. So the printouts that you'll want to gather, one, there's a printout of a scavenger gratitude hunt. We're not going to do this today, but it's a fun activity that you might want to print off and do with your family. Mine printed a bit weird, and I'm not really sure why. But what you will want to get for our activity day today are the 2 sheets of gratitude conversation starters. And the I am thankful for cards. And those are in the email or on our Pinterest. You'll also want to get yourself a pair of scissors and something to write with. I've got my trusty Church Geek pencil, which I love, from PMR First Third Ministries, also called Pollinate Ministries. And you will want 2 jars or 2 containers, a wooden box, a plastic container, even envelopes if that's all you have. I've got 2 mason jars. And that's what you'll need for the activity later. So if you want to pause the video right now and go grab those things, you can do that, or just get started. So let's just take a couple deep breaths. And breathe. And know that the welcome we extend at Mount Seymour United Church is as broad and as deep as we can make it. You are welcome here, no matter how old or how young you are, no matter your marital status, your financial status, your economic background. You are welcome here no matter your sexual orientation, your gender identity, or gender expression. You are welcome here. You are welcome here if you consider yourself a Christian or if you are a part of another faith tradition. And you are welcome here if you are curious and if you seek the ideals of compassion, peace, and justice. You are welcome here. Mount Seymour United Church is located on the unceded and ancestral territory of the Tsleil-Waututh people, who are part of the Coast Salish. And we are unbelievably grateful for the stewardship of the land that they have given from time immemorial. And again, we express our absolute gratitude to be able to live and work and play on this land. And we express our gratitude to the watershed. The Seymour watershed with its rivers and its streams and the snow on the mountains now is what brings life to this part of the world. Without the watershed, there would be no trees, there would be no plants, there would be no birds, there would be no insects, there'd be no animals, and there'd be no people. Water brings life, and we are grateful for the life that it gives us here on the Seymour watershed. Here in this place, we remember somebody who said such wonderful things and told such amazing stories that people just had to follow him. And once, when they asked him who he was, he said, "I am a light in this world." And he also said, "You, my beloveds, are lights in this world. A city on a hilltop cannot be hidden. Similarly, it would be silly for a person to light a lamp and hide it under a bowl. No. When a person lights a lamp, they place it on a table or a desk, so the light can illumine the entire house. You are like that illuminating light. Let your light shine everywhere you go, that you may illumine creation, so people everywhere may see your good actions, may see creation at its fullest in your bright light." That's from Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 to 16. Over the last few weeks of videos, we've been talking a lot about plants and how plants grow. Some of them grow very fast and some of them grow very slow. And we've talked about roots digging deep into the ground and branches growing up into the sky. And last week we talked about how we were all connected on branches and vines and in the tree of life. As we look outside, we can see that the seasons are changing and soon we will be entering winter. Here we will start Advent and get ready for Christmas. And outside, the plants are going to sleep or dying. The leaves are changing and falling off the trees, and it seems like a good time to talk about life and death. In the Bible, Jesus talks about life and death quite a lot in the Gospels. And in John chapter 12, verses 24 to 25, he has this to say about life and death. "Listen carefully," Jesus said. "Unless a grain of wheat is buried in the ground, dead to the world, it will never be any more than a grain of wheat. But if it is buried, then it sprouts and reproduces itself many times over. In the same way, anyone who holds on to life just as it is destroys that life. But if you let it go, reckless in your love, you'll have it forever and ever, real and eternal. This passage in the Bible reminds me of a book from when I was a very small child that I loved and I mentioned at the start of the video. It's called Amanda Grows Up, and it's about a hazelnut named Amanda. We're going to listen to that story now. Amanda Grows Up by Norma M. Charles, illustrated by Carol Moran. Amanda was born one wet spring morning. The sun didn't see her. The birds didn't see her. She was just a tiny green speck in the top of a hazelnut tree. From her branch, she could look out over the park. She could see the swings, she could see the fountain, and a sparrow looking for straw. Each morning the children ran through the park. They never looked up at Amanda. They were on their way to school. "Run!" they shouted. "We're late." One Tuesday in May, Amanda's flower fuzz blew away. She had a smooth green face and could feel the wind on her cheeks. Amanda smiled with surprise. Three other hazelnut faces appeared beside her. Phil and Bert and Carolyn. They all smiled back at Amanda. The spring days grew warmer. The hazelnuts grew bigger. By summertime, the four friends had fuzzy matching hats. Amanda loved breezy days when they all danced together among the leaves. One windy day, Phil shouted, "Watch me! I'm going to jump!" "That looks like fun. Let's try it too." Bert and Carolyn jumped and sailed all the way down to the grass. "Come on down," they shouted to Amanda. "I don't want to. I'm scared," cried Amanda. "I'm going to stay up here." Other hazelnuts jumped down to play with Bert and Phil and Carolyn. One day the children ran under the tree. "Look, hazelnuts!" they shouted. They picked up Phil and Bert and Carolyn, then ran to school. They didn't notice Phil fall out of the bag and roll beside a rock. Amanda was lonely, all by herself in the tree. "All my friends are gone," she sighed. "Perhaps if I jump, someone will find me too and take me to school." She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and started to count. On the number 10, she let go and dropped down, down, down to the long grass. The grass was very cool and very soft. It folded around Amanda. "Who will ever find me now and take me to school?" she wondered. That night the autumn wind blew.
Brown hazelnut leaves floated down and covered the grass. Amanda wiggled to get out. She wiggled so hard that her hat came off, but it was no use. Then the snow came, drifting down on the leaves. No one will ever find me, Amanda sighed. I'll be alone forever. Under the snow and the leaves and the grass, it was warm and dark. Amanda grew sleepy. She slept right through the winter. One morning, Amanda felt the grass moving around her. Above her, the sun was shining. It was springtime. My shelf feels too small for me, she muttered. It is too tight. Suddenly it cracked open. That feels wonderful, Amanda cried. Now she realized she was hungry and thirsty. She stretched down, down, down through the warm brown earth, and she touched water. Oh, that tastes good. Then she stretched herself up, up, up towards the happy sun. Amanda grew and grew and grew. She grew so much that one day she discovered she was no longer a hazelnut. I am a tree, she said, a beautiful hazelnut tree. Amanda, look over here. She heard someone calling to her from across the park. Look over here, Amanda. It was Phil. He was a tree too. The breeze is blowing, Amanda, he said. Shall we dance? The end.
I wonder about the passage from the scripture that says, anyone who holds on to life just as it is destroys that life. I wonder if Amanda held on too tightly to the idea of wanting to get picked up and taken to school, if that would have kept her from growing into a tree. I wonder what it means to let go of our life and still have it forever. I wonder if Amanda got her new life because she let go. She cracked open. And I wonder how many of us had big dreams and big plans for this year. Maybe we were going to have a big family vacation somewhere special that got canceled. Maybe we were going to go away on our own for the very first time to camp or a retreat. Maybe you were just planning to see your friends a whole lot more this year. I think it's hard to let go of what we think of as our normal lives. And lots of us have struggled this year because of COVID and all the changes that it's made to our lives. Amanda wanted to get picked up and taken to school, but she didn't get what she wanted. Lots of us didn't get what we wanted this year. I would guess we understand how Amanda felt when she was lost in the grass and sad. But something else happened to her instead. It might not have been her original dream, but it was pretty amazing. It wouldn't have happened if she had gotten picked up and taken to school. So by not getting what she wanted, she got something else instead that was good and beautiful. Jesus says in the passage, anyone who holds on to life just as it is destroys that life. But if we let it go, reckless in our love, we'll have it forever and ever, real and eternal. And I think that if Amanda hadn't let go of her life just as it is, she wouldn't have grown into a beautiful hazelnut tree. She did let go. She cracked open and she got a new life, real and eternal. Maybe that's something that we need to do too, to think about the life we wanted this year, and rather than hanging on to wanting it just so, wanting everything to be like it was, we consider what could happen, what we could grow into if we let go of wanting it to be normal again, wanting it to be the same as it was. Maybe if we're reckless in our love and grow, we can have a future with hope. So here's the activity that we're going to do this week. Again, I will give you a list of the supplies you need, and if you want to pause the video and go get them and then come on back, you can do so. A good portion of this activity you're going to do after the video ends, so you can wait until then as well if you prefer. What you're going to want to grab is the printouts from this week's email. So a printout that looks like this. It has some cards on it that say, I am thankful for. You'll also want to grab the printouts of the 2 pages of gratitude conversation starters. They look like this. You're also going to want to get a pair of scissors, something to write with, and a couple of containers, glass jars or plastic containers or a wooden box or 2, or even just an envelope if that's all you have. So grab all those supplies and come on back and we'll talk about our activity. So this activity is actually best done with your family, and it's a gratitude practice. You can see on these conversation starter sheets, there are a bunch of different questions, such as, who did something nice for you today? What was it? What is your favorite season? Why? How does it feel to do something nice for someone? How did you show kindness to others? What is your favorite thing to do? Why are you grateful for it? All sorts of different questions. So what you're going to want to do with these sheets is you want to get your scissors and you're going to cut out each individual question along the dotted green lines, or black if you printed it in black and white, which is totally fine to do. So you can see I have printed mine out and I have cut them up already. So I have all these questions and I'm going to put them in one of my jars. Super easy. And you could decorate your jars if you wanted later, put ribbons on them or stickers or however you want. And then take this jar, well, and the other one too when we get to it, and put it on your dinner table, or where you all gather to eat breakfast, or someplace where your family is all together. And put it on your table. And then, when you're all together, you can have somebody pick one of the questions. What's one thing a friend did for you recently that you're thankful for? Have a family member read out the question, and then you can take turns answering the question. And then you can put it back. The other sheet has a list of things, well, not a list yet, but says, I am thankful for. So you'll want to cut out each of those squares. You might want to print out more than one sheet so that you have lots of these. And something that you can do is when you're with your family and you answer one of your questions, what's your favorite thing to do and why? Why are you grateful for it? As people answer the question, you or someone in your family could write down on the sheet, I am thankful for, or answering the question, I'm grateful for, one of my favorite things to do is knitting. So I'm going to write, I'm thankful for time to knit. Because it's fun and relaxing. So I wrote that down on my thankful paper. Then with your second jar, you can put it, put it in your jar. And then every time that you think of something that you're thankful for, whether it's with your family asking questions or just on your own, maybe you'll make it a practice to every day before you go to bed to write down one good thing you're grateful for, and you can put it in your jar. And then in a couple of months, you'll have this big collection of things that you're grateful for, and you can take them out and you can read them again and sit with your family and have your memories of things you were grateful for a couple of months ago. And I suggest this because it's really easy to focus on the bad things. It's really easy to focus on all the things we didn't get to do this year and all the things we missed out on and all the things that got canceled and all the ways our life has changed, maybe not for the good because of COVID. But I bet if you take some time to think about it, you'll be able to think of good things, things that you are grateful for that maybe wouldn't have happened because of COVID, or maybe did happen because of COVID. Like I got to spend a lot more time with my family, which was great. And I got to play lots of games with my son, which has been fabulous. When we write things down that make us happy and when we express our gratitude for things, we can feel a lot better about life and we can feel a lot better about the days ahead. My sister and I have a practice of every couple of days we message each other with a list of 10 things that we're grateful for. And it can be anything like our family, a bubble bath, hot chocolate, cozy blankets, the color of the leaves outside, simple things that make us feel happy and comforted and safe. I bet you can think of lots of things to write down and put into your thankful jar. We haven't done our Seed of Hope prayer in a number of weeks. So because we are very close to finishing this series, we will do our Seed of Hope prayer this week and next week, and then we'll be moving into Advent. You'll want to check your email about the Advent kits that your family can order. That is in the email. And again, if you're not getting our weekly newsletter for children, youth, and families. The link to subscribe is in the description below. And you can see all the information on the things that we're doing for our families, children, and youth during this time of COVID. So you remember that the Seed of Hope prayer is a repeat after me prayer and an action prayer. So let's get our hands warmed up and ready. This is the seed of hope. This is the seed of hope that we plant in the soil. That we plant in the soil. This is the rain. This is the rain that waters the seed that we plant in the soil. That waters the seed that we plant in the soil. This is the sun that follows the rain. This is the sun that follows the rain, that waters the seed we plant in the soil, that waters the seed that we plant in the soil. This is the root that digs down in the dirt. This is the root that digs down in the dirt, that feeds the seed that we plant in the soil, that feeds the seed that we plant in the soil. This is the plant that grows up towards the sun. This is the plant that grows up towards the sun, that shines on the seed that we plant in the soil, that shines on the seed that we plant in the soil. These are the branches that embrace God's love. These are the branches that embrace God's love. This is the seed of hope. Amen. This is the seed of hope. Amen. Thank you so much for being with me this week, and I am looking forward to seeing you next week with our next video. Thanks. Bye.